Today's Crossbow Appreciation Month video. This is going to seem a little bit like a simple video, and a lot of people are going to be like, well, duh, you know. But there's a lot of people that ask me this question, and I think it is a sincere, legitimate question that we should answer for friends of Bunjie who might be new to crossbow hunting. So weigh in on this with your thoughts if you're an old hat. You know what I'm saying? When do you cock your crossbow when you go hunting? And it's going to vary crossbow to crossbow. This isn't actually a silly question. There's actually a very complex, different kinds of answers you might get for something like this, right? This is the Ravin R29X, the Black Widow. Yeah, so this one, my love-hate relationship with this crossbow, a lot of reasons. Old story on that, right? But this crossbow has a crank. Got two handles right there. The crank handles, you put that on here, you can crank this back, it pulls this belt back, it pulls the trigger box back, you slide this down, hook onto the string, pulls it back, cocks it. This one does it quietly and very conveniently. You could do it right in the tree stand while you're awaiting your hunting experience. Sit right there, set it in front of you, and just crank it back. You can set it on the rail in front of you in a tree stand if you got a rail. If you have a shooting rail, you can lean it right on there, crank it back. No problem with that whatsoever. You can safely cock this crossbow in a tree stand or in a ground blind. You can also decock it too, which is really nice. But basically, you can set up all your other gear and then conveniently and quietly and secretly cock this crossbow. I'd say kind of the same thing goes for this crossbow, the Hybrid-X from Excalibur. Really like this crossbow. It doesn't have lighted nocks available, so I won't be hunting with it this year. But this crossbow is kind of the same thing. This one cranks back, not a problem. The trigger box comes right down there, slides down, latches onto the string, and you crank it back. You can do that easily and quietly in your tree stand or in a ground blind. Crossbows like this one, the slick black Cadillac, the Scorpion Deathstalker. This one, not so much. Not so much. You can't really conveniently cock this in a tree stand because it's big and because it takes a sled that goes on here. And the sled wants a little bit of a balance, right? It wants to be a little finicky when you're pulling it back. And you got to make sure you get it under this arrow retention finger here. And it's just, you got to kind of stand up to do it. You don't want to be doing that in a tree stand, even if you're harnessed in. It's just not a good idea. In a blind, I can stand up and cock it, no problem. But what I've always done in a tree stand is I cock it on the ground, okay? And then I stand it up against the tree, right? And hook a rope on it, get in the tree stand, get all set up, and then pull it up with a rope. Very carefully, making sure that the limbs and the cams and nothing hits anything. The string doesn't get caught on a branch or something, right? And then hoist it up there and get it in front of you. And then you're ready to hunt. Leave it cocked right in front of you the whole time. What about the SWAT X1, the Patriot? I love this crossbow. Yeah, this is just a perfect crossbow, but it really falls in the same category as its larger brother there, the Scorpion Deathstalker. The fact that that crossbow has to be cocked on the ground, this is a rope cocking crossbow for me also, and for that reason I cock it on the ground and then hoist it up. This one's small enough that, yeah, I climbed into the tree stand carrying it while it's cocked. Not the best option, okay? For this one, I would hook the rope onto the stirrup and hoist it up this way, right? And then I let it down that way too. I try to decock them in the tree stand with a decocking arrow, but shoot it from the tree stand, and then try to remember to get the decocking arrow when I get down. You can attach a crank to this, right, and crank it back, but I found that the detachable cranks, in my experience, I'm not a fan of those. I don't use them very much. For that reason, I really don't feel comfortable doing that in a tree stand. I typically cock this with the rope cocker every time, and I hoist it up into the tree stand separately. I guess the other consideration is, how are you going to be hunting? If you are spotting and stalking, then you want to cock the crossbow maybe when you get out of your truck, right? As soon as you're ready to go hunting or leaving the house, cock it on your way in before you go in, and that way you're carrying it cocked. Be very careful doing this, right? You don't want to be tripping and falling on a crossbow that's loaded and cocked and ready for firing. You want that out in front of you, point it away from you and other people all the time. Be careful of your broadhead. Some crossbows in this day and age, the broadhead extends out in past the end of the crossbow and it can get caught on branches or grass or what have you. That can tear the arrow out of there, and you know, you go to shoot and it's not doing exactly what you thought it was going to do, you know, that kind of thing. So you got to be careful about that if you're walking around with a loaded crossbow. And you got to check your local regulations. It might not be legal to walk around in certain places with a loaded crossbow. You might have to wait until you get to your hunting location. I don't know. You got to check that out for yourself. But it really depends on how you're going to hunt. I guess the big thing, if you are new to crossbows, this is not a weapon where you're sitting in a tree stand the deer's coming in and now you're going to cock your crossbow. That's not how that works. Don't do that. You've got to have it cocked, loaded, and ready to go before the deer shows up. And the last consideration, that brings up a good point. I would also take into account that some models of crossbows tell you, the manufacturers tell you, not to leave them cocked in excess of 4 hours or 6 hours. Certain crossbows require that and tell you that. And if that's the case, you want to be mindful of that. If you're going for an all-day hunt, you're going to have to shoot that crossbow, decock it in some way, and then let it rest, and then cock it again and shoot it again. You're going to have to take a break for lunch with a crossbow like that. Time your hunts out. Remember, deer are crepuscular creatures, and they're most likely to show up outside of the rut. I mean, that's a little bit of an exception. But they're most likely to show up at dawn or at dusk. You know, I just hunt at dusk. That's pretty much most of the season for me. But get in there an hour or two before the deer are expected to show up, and then shoot a deer. And you got your crossbow cocked for a couple of hours before they show up, and that's perfect. I'm interested to hear from you, friends of Bunjie, on this topic. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying Crossbow Appreciation Month. And until next time, all hail Bunjie.